Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're setting aside the usual industry trends, the news cycle. We are going into a concept that really it underlies every single goal you've ever set. From learning a language to, I don't know, launching a side hustle. It's the fundamental secret to sustaining success.
It does sound a bit like self-help hyperbole, I know.
Yeah.
But we have some fantastic source material today. It's this really candid conversation that breaks down two concepts we get them mixed up all the time: consistency versus motivation.
Right.
So our mission in this deep dive is to clarify that central conflict. We want to show you why relying on motivation is, frankly, a recipe for failure. And most importantly, we're going to give you some really concrete, actionable tools to build these powerful, lasting daily habits.
Okay, let's unpack that because it's a huge premise. We're always told we need passion, we need this fire, this, motivation to do anything great. And our sources, they agree motivation is great. It absolutely gets you started. It's the spark plug. But here's the core difficult truth they put forward. You cannot, under any circumstances, trust it. It's just... It's inherently unreliable. Consistency, that steady, deliberate action, that's the only real path forward. So just think for a moment. Think about a time you started something new. A project, a hobby, maybe a fitness routine. You started with this absolute, just overwhelming fire and excitement.
Oh, yeah.
I am so guilty of this. Just last year, I bought this gorgeous, top-of-the-line watercolor set. The inspiration was, it was immediate, intense. I felt like a real artist, ready to spend hours creating masterpieces. And, the supplies are still sitting in the box, unopened, just waiting for that perfect motivated feeling to come back.
That is the perfect anecdote. It really is.
Yeah.
Because the source material uses that classic example. Learning the guitar. The motivation phase, just like you described it, it's electric. You don't just want to learn. You go out, you buy the beautiful guitar, maybe a high-end amplifier, you download the expensive app, you binge watch every YouTube tutorial you can find.
Yeah. You feel the fire.
You feel that fire, exactly. That strong, almost intoxicating sense of possibility. And that intense feeling, that is the definition of motivation.
The feeling is definitely electric, but that's the whole problem, isn't it? It's a feeling, and what happens to that fire?
What's fascinating here is really understanding the nature of motivation itself. It behaves exactly like a firework. It's bright, it's beautiful, it generates this maximum heat and visibility for, a very short amount of time, but then the explosion's over.
Yeah.
And it just falls back to earth.
Right.
And the issue with relying on that kind of volatility is that it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
Our emotions aren't built to last for years at that intensity.
And when we look at the guitar project or, my watercolor set in the box, that fire goes out fast. The sources remind us that after maybe just 1 week, reality hits. Your fingertips hurt from the guitar strings. The songs are harder than they looked. And after a long day of work, you're exhausted. The motivation just vanishes without a trace.
And this is the critical failure point for what they call the learner. Motivation comes and goes based on your sleep, your mood, your environment, external stress. It is completely 100% unreliable. So when people stop, when they skip that first day, they instinctively wait for that intense motivational high, that initial fire to come back.
They're waiting for the feeling again.
Exactly. But because that intense emotional rush is gone, they just conclude, I guess I lack the willpower.
Yeah.
And the project fails. Permanently.
So, okay. We've established we cannot trust the emotional firework. We have to somehow bypass the emotion entirely. So we pivot now to the reliable alternative, consistency. And I want you to ask yourself, listener, is consistency a feeling?
Yeah.
Because it's not. It doesn't require passion or energy or excitement.
No, it doesn't. You're right. Consistency is fundamentally an action. It's a choice you commit to making day after day, regardless of your mental or your emotional state. It is defined as simply doing the work, the small necessary work even, and especially when you are tired or uninterested or, let's be honest, feeling a bit lazy.
And to really strip the emotion away and make this actionable, we need a perfect analogy for automation. The one the sources provide is it's gold. Brushing your teeth. I don't know anyone who wakes up and says, wow, today I feel incredibly motivated to brush my teeth.
Right.
You don't need excitement. You don't need willpower. It's automatic, a habit cemented into your daily routine.
And that automation is the gold standard we're all chasing here. It replaces the need for that strong, temporary feeling with the sustained, reliable power of a deeply ingrained habit. If that aspiring guitarist had approached practice the way they approach oral hygiene, as a non-negotiable, short routine, They would have seen progress. They would have built a skill, even on the days they didn't want to even look at the instrument.
And this is so important for people who are always learning, like so many of our listeners. We always start with that huge motivational energy. We tell ourselves, I'm going to study my new language for 2 hours every single day. We sprint so hard for 3 days, and we just burn ourselves out.
And then, life happens. A deadline at work, a sick kid, a weekend trip. You skip one day, and that one skip causes this dip in morale, and suddenly you feel like you've failed.
You've broken the streak.
Exactly. So you stop. You think, I'll restart when I get my motivation back. The consistency model completely bypasses that emotional crash. The action is so small, so automatic, that it doesn't matter if you feel motivated or not. You just do the 10 minutes.
So the challenge isn't finding motivation. The challenge is building the automation. How do we trick ourselves into starting, especially on those, like lazy days? We need these little tricks to make consistency easier than resisting it. And the number one trick our source material talks about is make it small. Make it so small it feels ridiculous not to do it.
This is where we introduce the 5-minute rule, or maybe the 10-minute rule, depending on a task. Don't commit to studying for an hour. Don't commit to running 5 miles. Commit to 5 minutes. The whole goal is to make the task so non-threatening that your brain doesn't even activate its natural resistance mechanism.
But why is 5 minutes magic? I mean, why does making it that small work on a psychological level?
It works because it bypasses the amygdala's threat response. Our brains are basically wired to conserve energy. So when we look at a big, heavy job, like writing a 3,000-word report or practicing piano for an hour, our brain sees this massive energy cost, and it generates procrastination and resistance to protect us from that. But if the task is 5 minutes of typing or 2 pages of music, it feels so incredibly tiny that the resistance doesn't even wake up. It's a genius little hack against your own natural laziness.
That slight shift in perception is, well, it's everything. And this smallness, this micro effort, is where the magic of compounding consistency really starts to shine. The result is exponentially bigger than the daily effort.
Let's put that into perspective. Let's make it sharp. Consider the reading example from the source. If you read just one single page of a complicated English textbook every night, just one page, it might take 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
In 1 year, you'll have completed 365 pages. That is the length of 2, maybe even 3 substantial academic books.
And the beauty is that you got that massive result, 3 whole books, from an effort that barely even registered in your day. It wasn't painful. It didn't take any willpower.
Right. Now contrast that with the motivational approach. The motivated learner skips Monday through Saturday, waiting for inspiration to strike. Then on Sunday, they force themselves to study for 5 miserable hours to catch up. That 5-hour block feels heavy. It takes extreme willpower. It's taxing. And it's constantly competing with relaxation, family time, and, of course, the desire for pizza and movies.
It's so much better to study 10 minutes every day and feel successful and light than to cram 5 miserable hours into Sunday and feel drained and resentful. The consistency model replaces that feeling of being burdened with the feeling of being perpetually ahead.
So rule number 1, make it small. Now we can move to rule number 2, which is the psychological reinforcement mechanism. Do not break the chain.
This is such a fantastic low-tech hack. The sources suggest using a physical paper calendar on your wall, something you see every single day. Every day you complete your small task, that 5 minutes of guitar practice or reading, you put a big, satisfying red X on that day.
And that line of X's becomes your chain of success. When you look at the calendar and you see 10 days, 20 days, 30 days of successful microactions, you feel a genuine sense of pride and accomplishment. That visual feedback is so powerful because it gives you an immediate, tangible reward. The X for a task whose final reward, skill acquisition, is way off in the future. It's the tool that helps you keep going on the days when you truly feel tired.
It's really about shrinking the goal. The goal isn't learn the guitar anymore. The immediate, tiny goal is simply get my X for the day. But what happens when life throws that inevitable curveball? We're human, not robots. We get sick. We forget. I think a lot of listeners worry that if they break the chain even once, they've completely failed and might as well just quit.
That fear of imperfection is precisely the trap. It's the trap we have to recognize and fight against. The source material is very, very clear on this. Missing one day is okay. Life happens. Perfection is the enemy of consistency. If you demand perfect, 100% adherence from yourself, you will set yourself up for failure. You'll quit because perfection is just unsustainable.
That is such a vital mantra. Perfection is the enemy of consistency. So if we accept that missing Monday is a possibility, what is the crucial rule for recovery? How do we get back on track?
The crucial rule is this. Never miss 2 days in a row. If you miss Monday, you absolutely must study or practice on Tuesday, even if you only do 2 minutes of the task. And why is that 48-hour window so critical?
Because one day is an accident, but 2 days is a choice. Is that it?
That's a great way to put it. If you let yourself skip Monday and Tuesday, the research shows that the neural pathway for your new desired habit starts to fade, and the path for the old lazy behavior becomes the dominant route again. You have to jump back on the track immediately before the break becomes the new default.
Right.
As the source wisely notes, 1 day is a mistake, 2 days is a new habit. That mindset shift is revolutionary. Instead of striving for perfect effort and then crashing, we just aim to be good enough every single day. Good enough is sustainable. Good enough allows for life.
And this model, it applies so far beyond just skill acquisition. Let's look at a common life challenge that almost always relies on motivation: cleaning the house.
Oh, the cleaning cycle is the perfect illustration of the motivation trap. The motivation method is waiting until the house is an absolute disaster, dishes piled high, laundry everywhere, chaos, and then spending 4 painful, energy-draining hours on a Saturday doing this heroic, hateful, deep clean. It ruins your entire weekend. The feeling of cleanliness is gone by Tuesday anyway.
Right. So what's the consistency method?
The consistency method is committing to just 10 minutes every day. You don't need motivation for it. While you wait for your coffee to brew, you wash the dishes in the sink. Before you sit down to watch a movie, you take 5 minutes to wipe down the kitchen counter or put away some laundry.
I have to ask, though, does 10 minutes really make a difference? It just feels like too little time to fight chaos.
It makes an enormous difference because you're maintaining momentum rather than fighting entropy from a cold start. Maintenance is exponentially easier than recovery. The consistent approach ensures the house is never a disaster. It just stays mostly clean. And crucially, you don't spend 4 hours of your precious Saturday hating your life. You get more time for movies, relaxation, and that well-earned pizza.
And that's the core mantra we can take away today. Consistency beats motivation every single time. It's the difference between trying to be the fast-running rabbit who sprints, burns out, and stops, and being the slow, determined turtle. The turtle might be moving slowly, but he never, ever stops walking. Be the turtle.
The turtle, who is also armed with a calendar and a red marker, getting his X every single day.
Let's do a quick final recap of the main points so everyone listening can start applying this framework today. First, remember that motivation is fire. It's great, it gets you started, but you absolutely cannot rely on it because it's volatile and it fades.
Second, consistency isn't a feeling. It's a reliable action, a habit, just like the automatic process of brushing your teeth.
To build that consistency, you have to make the task insultingly small, 5 or 10 minutes. You do that to bypass resistance because those small steps, they accumulate into massive results over time.
Use the calendar chain. That satisfying red X. Track your progress. That visual line of success gives you an immediate psychological reward, and it helps you keep going when your energy is low.
And if you break the chain, forgive yourself instantly. It's fine to miss one day, but you have to adhere to the most important recovery rule: never, ever miss 2 days in a row.
Because perfection is the enemy of consistency. You have to aim for good enough, day after day, and that's how you'll achieve your long-term goals. When you stop relying on that frantic emotional high of motivation, you replace it with something much better. A feeling the source speakers achieved. Feeling calm and ready, rather than exhausted and chasing a feeling that won't come back.
That feeling of being calm and ready is what wins the race. The goal isn't to feel motivated to pick up that guitar. The goal is simply to show up today. The turtle won the race not because he was excited every morning, but because he just took the action, slow as it was. So reflect on this right now. What is the one thing you've been putting off? Can you commit to just 5 minutes of that task today? That one action right now is the only one that truly matters.